Touch wood, touch wood.
Absolutely. Okay. Again, looking at your record, the amount of games you've played in your years in, it doesn't seem that you've missed too many games. Have you been quite lucky with injuries?
Yes and no with that one, to be honest. Obviously, as an opening batter, you'd think most of the time I've broken a few fingers off you big, nasty, quick Lancashire League bowlers. A couple of weird injuries, really. I remember playing I think it was a warm-up game, football-wise, at Todd. I got my finger caught in Ben Sutcliffe in Buzzer's pocket, and it's somehow twisted my finger. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I've gone to grab him, I think, because he's probably skinned me because he's a bit thinner than me, but he's definitely not a better footballer than me. So he skinned me. I've gone to grab him.
He must be shit then, Simon.
Well, yeah. Well, no, he's a good one, actually, believe it or not. So I've obviously done that, and I've ended up with some type of spiral fracture or break of the finger after that, so that put me out. Another random one where I've gone to catch a rugby ball, just having a little mess around in train. I've gone to catch this rugby ball, not caught it around, it's jabbed the end of my finger before practice. I've gone in the nets, had a little bit of a bat, and I'm thinking, this is hurting this. And not one to finish batting early unless there's something seriously wrong. So I'm going to have to stop it. It's the first net I've ever stopped early. Obviously gone out and I've found out it's another break. So I've had a few pretty weird injuries, really, in terms of that. I've got a claim to fame as an injury. It's certainly a story I like to tell, which probably a lot of people will have heard. But we had, going back a few years, we played against Corn. Obviously, you've got Gary Hunt's obviously well in with Corn, and I think he probably sorts the majority of the pros out for Corn. You wouldn't know if Gary would sort the sub-pros out. You'd always know you get a pro, but you never knew what pro you get. Obviously, Gary's got good links. So I remember, obviously, we're on Todd. They got a South African guy called Friedel de Wet. So I think he batted first. They batted first. He's maybe got 50 or 60. Didn't look a batter. We'd obviously done a little bit of research, found out he's more of a bowling pro than a batting pro. He didn't look great with the bat. Still got 50 odd. They got a half decent score. Obviously, here we go, second innings. So I don't know if you've done this, or probably most people do this. I know a lot of people in the league, so you know what you're facing. I'm obviously taking the first ball, and I'm watching this guy. He's stood at the end of his run, think it's a decent this. As I always do, and I don't know if you do it or not, I always try, obviously, you're pretending to look around the field, but you're actually trying to have a look where the wicketkeeper stood to realise how quick.
How quick he is, yeah.
How quick the bowler can be. I think it's Tilly behind the stumps for Corn. I'm noticing he stood on the edge of the ring. I'm thinking, well, I know Todd's quick, but there's obviously something not right here. So, obviously, first couple of overs, this lad's firing it down like absolute racer bullet. And obviously looking around, and Tilly's taking him above his head. He's not just taking him on the way down, they're still going up on the edge of the ring on Todd. So I'm obviously thinking this is an absolute nightmare. You've obviously got the other end where you've got, is it Disco Dave, is he called? Dave Wallbank, is he called?
Oh, Dave Wallbank, yeah.
So he's bowling from the other end, and when you're facing him, he feels like he's bowling at about 30 mile an hour. So I've got to think of it, a couple of fours off him. I've ended up, unfortunately, getting back on strike with this Mr. Wet guy. So he's bowled one a little bit short, and I've lost it or whatever I've done. It's smashed me on the arm, and I've not had a pain like it, to be honest. So I've chucked my bat, gone down, waited around a little bit, sort of composed myself, and carried on batting as you try and do. You know, we're all try to be tough, don't we? So I'm obviously carrying on. Trying to do what I can do. Yeah, I've got to 50. We've more or less won the game. There's maybe 10 left when I've finally got out. So this guy, I think it was, is it Matt Walker who's captain for Cole? He's now bowling. The pro's gone off. So Matt Walker's bowled it. And short ball, gone to pull it. Absolutely no power in my arm. Got caught on the edge. Off you go for 50. They got 50. Arms killing like hell, to be honest. So obviously, it started to bruise up. So that's been a Sunday night. I've gone to get an X-ray the day after. So I've gone to hospital. No, you're fine. You're all right. You've had a smack to your arm. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Carry on. So I've done my usual jobs that week. I say jobs that week. The usual routine that week. I've gone to the gym a couple of times, lifted weights. Obviously netted a couple of times, got to the weekend after. So we've come to play against Burnley the weekend after. Batting again as normal. I don't know how many we're chasing, but I got to about 70, 80 not out. Comes off for rain. I think we needed maybe 50 or 60 off 16 overs. Obviously, the way the league was in that time, we didn't get back on. Now, anyone chasing 50 or 60 with 8 wickets left off 16 overs is going to win. So we would have won the game because of the league rules where we ended up losing the games. But I'm still feeling a bit of dupe on my arm, to be honest. I've obviously got 9 or whatever it was. Not right. So I've gone to Halifax, not saying it makes any difference, but I've gone to get an X-ray again, just saying this arm's still not right. So I've gone in, got it checked, and they said, well, I don't know what they've missed, but your arm's broken. You shouldn't be doing anything with it. So I'd obviously got 42 runs last week, obviously going from 8 to 50, obviously 79 not out the week after, with a broken arm. So that's probably my fame story in terms of being quite a tough, hard cricketer, to be honest. So that's
tough lad, Simon. Hey, look,
exactly.
I'm sat here looking at you, Simon. You must have had 1 or 2 blows to the face as well, surely.
I think they're more football oriented, to be honest. Yeah. I'm trying to be careful because I'm trying to show you what I'm doing and stuff, but you've got to be careful with the side on with the nose and stuff. So I'm trying to keep straight on, but I'm trying to obviously not give away the size of the nose a little bit, to be honest. So,
bit skew with.
But they're more football related, those, Wilky, which is
all right. Fair enough. Yeah. Well, as we've discussed, you've scored many a run in the Lancashire League, several thousand of them. But in having conversations with you in the past, it seems to me that maybe you're have a little bit more pride in your 4 Lancashire League wickets that you have.
Yeah. You probably can probably describe the wickets better than any of the innings, to be honest. The first one was Andy Barker from Enfield, obviously 10,000 runs. I remember bowling. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's obviously no mean feat.
No. Well, was this end of the innings, last over?
I think it got to a point where we're sort of scratching around a little bit. Give a
9th bowler.
Well, yeah,
you were the wicket keeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think maybe 7th ball that day. I'll give it a go. They've not needed many to win. I think me and there's obviously some other non-bowler, possibly a ball at the other end. So it's gone down as bowled in the book, and I obviously will say clean bowled, but he's dragged it on massively. So, but I'll take a clean ball off that one.
Absolutely.
And that's the one. And the other 3 were all in 1 innings. We're going away to Ramy. Don't remember him now. I can probably still picture the balls. The first one's Phil Hayes, who's probably the best left-hander batter I've seen in the league. Certainly amateur-wise, the best one I've seen. I remember bowling a short, wide one. He's gone to cut.
He fell for it.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Ball to your field, don't it? So he's gone to cut it. Duds has probably taken the assist on that one. He's dived, I think it's full length, one-handed. Caught it maybe an inch off the floor, and he's absolutely mullered this square cut. That's obviously the first one. Again, another one that's maybe a little bit contentious. David Bell, obviously, he's a decent player, good player. So a lot of runs for Ramy. I remember getting a man of the match in the Worsley Cup final that we played in. So a good player, big occasion player. Again, I think he's played that on, but goes down as bald. And the last one, Chris Reed, left-handed batter. Obviously gone to pro a little bit. Yeah, he was gone to Azzy, I think he may have played at Edenfield. Left-handed batter, so I've dug him one in. This is a genuine one, this. I've dug it in. Too quick for him. He's gone to pull it, and he's been caught at first slip. So
you beat him for pace, yeah.
They're my 4. But I do have other wickets to talk about, and I do have some to talk about the Bacup. One particular person. Now I know every time I speak to Scott Thompson, he absolutely goes mental about.
We're talking about in the nets here with Simon.
No, we're talking about a game. Now I've actually pulled off and got the scorecard between Todmorden Bacup on the 30th of June 2006, where Scott Thompson swears blind that I've never got him out. So I've got here, I pulled the scorecard off. I don't know how you so if you can check this now, let's have a look. You check there, you've got the top. You can see the date, it's official Lancashire League. You can see there, batting at
S.
3,
Thompson,
Scott
Morgan,
Thompson.
Bowled, Newbitt. Did you have a
Exactly.
brother?
That's definitely me.
Is it?
Left arms. So I've got him. I got another wicket that day. So as you can see and roll down, I finished the day with, is it 2 for
2 for 16?
2 for 16? So
Who's your second wicket, Simon?
is it T Cake he's called? T
Thomas
Hartley.
Hartley? Yeah.
Yeah, he's in as well. So he's caught by Savage, but got a couple of 2020 wickets. Now Scott swears blind every time I speak to him about it, and he just denies all knowledge. So I wanted to use this as the opportunity to prove to everybody and to him that it's there.
Well, you've taken that opportunity, and I've seen it in black and white. That shit batsman was bowled out by a shit bowler. So fair enough. Well done, Simon.
A shit bowler. I think
Don't
with that
mean
though,
it's Scott, honest.
Yeah, no, I think with the bowling around that time, we had Gullum Bodie as the pro. I think I cleaned him up. I used to bowl in the nets, and I think I cleaned him up a couple of times. So he's quite in my camp for stuff. And we got to a point where, for whatever reason, I think maybe Endo might have had a ban, or I think Endo got banned for a couple of games for knocking a bail off or something for when Brian Rutter were there. So Bodie's taken over. Bodie's taken over for a couple of games. So he's obviously, first thing he's done, he's put me on to bowl. So I bowled quite a lot. Probably bowled the most under Bodie, but obviously you see he's now banned from cricket. So I don't know what that tells you about his judgment.
Perhaps it tells us he probably had some sort of bet on with that game. You know,
possibly,
I'm actually going to bowl the worst bowler the club has ever seen in first 11 cricket, or something along those lines. But anyway, Sam, we're going to move on. We're going to move on quickly because time is of the essence. I'm going to ask you, as we discussed, to name your best team of 1 to 11 of players that you've played with. Now, I'm presuming in these players there's going to be a liberal sprinkling of Bacup lads, and maybe just 1 or 2 from Todmorden. Is that right?
I'll try. This is probably the one thing I've had to actually make a note of. I've sort of tossed and turned, changed things around a little bit over the week since I've known I was going to do this. So if I read out the 1 to 11 of the played with, you can see what you think. So firstly, number 1, Richard Bajam, brilliant batter.
Class player, played some minor counties cricket, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, a class above. He's probably the only player that probably played on the same team as where I've been stood at the other end. I felt a little bit inferior. He just had that thing about him, that aura about him, where he just was a cut above anyone that I played with.
A very good player, but to be fair, Simon, he's better known at Bacup for his sit-down protest. As good as a player as he might be, but
that's the thing. I mean, in those days, as you go back a little bit, there's probably a lot more stories to tell with stuff like that. So he was a pretty funny guy, to be fair, as well. He was good value in the changing room. So class player.
Very good. Number 2.
Opening as well. Again, I've changed around a little bit with the order, but I've gone just on weight of runs career-wise. I've gone with Stu Priestley. I think probably he would probably say himself that he's nearer the 15,000 mark than the 10,000 mark in terms of the ability he had and how good he was. Obviously, a great guy to have around the changing rooms.
Lovely bloke, and I think the word I'd apply to Stuart is unflappable.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But like I say, he was good. He was good with everyone, and I think he was one of the people, certainly in all my time, where being gullible as well as we were, whatever he said, the young lads just did.
They lapped it all up, yeah.
Exactly, but definitely like I say, runs wise, I know 10,000 is obviously a brilliant achievement, which he's done. But I think looking at him, he could have gone to the next maybe bracket. But still a brilliant player. 3 obviously is where I want my pro to be. Blessed a little bit with pros, and where we've been. There's Michael Nessa, or Nisa, however you want to pronounce it. Obviously, Aussie. For my most recent times, brilliant. He was the all-round package at the time, in terms of performances on the pitch, performances off the pitch, in terms of the way he was around the club. Great guy, typical Aussie. Had a drink, intelligent guy as well, very intelligent. There was him, obviously Kaiser Abbas, who was there bowling the the traditional left arm spin 25 overs, getting around the wickets. But the one I've gone for is the one from my first time, which is Gyan Pandey, who you're probably more familiar with.
Played against,
If we go stats-wise with him, 3 years at Todd, I think he averaged around the 55 mark with the bat in what I'd probably say is one of the poorer sides we had at the time, certainly in terms of depth of the squad. Plenty of wickets, probably, I've brought it down here actually, 200 wickets in the 3 years. I think with him, one of the things that stood out, I think, was obviously being a young lad at the time, quite impressionable. He gave me a bat for a start, probably the best bat I ever had, an SS Tum bat, which was brilliant.
Now the reason of coming out why you've picked him, Simon.
Yeah, so we had that. And also his love of, obviously, the nightclub in Todd. He used to quite regularly want
Blue
to
Note.
go. Yeah, he's had many names over the years, but he used to love going there. He used to call it the disco. He used to want to go to the disco. So, obviously, being a little bit younger in them days, your expectations of a pro slightly changed. So back then, obviously, his ability was without a shadow of a doubt brilliant. But obviously, a little bit of a naughty boy in a sort of Indian kind of way as well. I think with the pros, it's weird with the pros because you talk about, obviously we play village cricket effectively, but some of the pros that we had probably are some of the more village moments. Remember batting in that game where I got Scott out, Jack Rudolph pro for us.
Yeah.
I remember to the day I'd got out first and I'd opened with Jack Rudolph. I'm walking off to the changing rooms and suddenly I get this shout from behind. And I looks around, he's running over towards me, literally as I'm walking off. He's asking if he can swap gloves and wear my gloves, which I found quite bizarre. Little stuff like that where you think the professional's probably going to be the more professional person. A lot of the professionals were probably more village. There was a Sri Lankan guy called Chintha Jayasinghe. I remember taking him out to Burnley for a night out. We've ended up in a strip club. He's obviously gone for a dance round the back, well, not round the back, but in one of the private booths. And suddenly you can hear this really, you still hear the noise now. It's a weird kind of noise, and it's a noise of him actually projectiling his stick across the laminate floor as a dancer's trying to dance with him. So obviously we've got pushed out.
The Sri Lankan custom, is it, Simon?
Yes, so he's got kicked out. And all I remember from that night is obviously he's in a taxi home with his head out the window like a dog, with his tongue out, obviously sat like that. So, I mean, like I say, the pros were strange.
We've seen that with you once or twice, Simon, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I try not to talk about that. Obviously, there was the outside the club on the pavement. Now, all I was doing was just waiting for the taxi. And I put my head down, and Spenner says it's a comfy spot. And he's been there many a time.
Spenner likes his sleep on the pavement too,
I've just taken his advice, and there we go. But I mean, even stuff like, even when we had Kaiser, obviously, when you're in a cricket team as well, obviously there's 11, you knock up, it's twos. So obviously you do get a point where there is a bit of a spare part, obviously being an odd number. But I even remember times where I've seen Kaiser, and he's just like, he's still knocking up with the other team. And we're obviously all knocking up together, and he's got some mug from the other team.
Yeah.
And balls at him whilst he warms up. So probably some of the pros, that Pandy turned up to a game at Burnley with, I think he must have done his own whites that day. So he's obviously turned up and he's got like his whites are like a light shade of blue. So he looks like an absolute village idiot, to be honest with you. But obviously on the day, I think he won the game on the day. So some of the pros, as though professional they are, they do the village things as well.
Yeah, well, they're just human beings like the rest of us, aren't they? Right, we're up to number 4, Simon.
Yeah, I've gone off on there. Yeah, sorry. So next, number 4, I've gone for Nick Barker, current Walsden captain. I found with him that you probably see him come into his own more against the better sides. I'd probably expect him to do well against your Lowerhouses, your Burnleys, that type of thing. And he seemed to be more switched on against the better attacks. Against, no disrespect to some of the bottom sides around that division, he didn't quite have that same motivation to him. I think the better the team, the more it brought out in him. Obviously, you're seeing now in a Division 1 that you've got, where it's competitive cricket by the sounds of it every week. He's one of the best in that league. I think, to be fair to him, he's doing obviously a good job as captain as well.
Yeah.
Policeman. probably the thing that probably stands out more than his innings is I remember we got to the last game of the season. Obviously, it's a bit of a free for all, but we're at Burnley for the last game of the season. I'll never forget. He's literally. I know, obviously, everyone talks about hitting the ball over the stand at Burnley, don't they? Obviously, it's a big hit on.
Well, I don't, but some people do. Yeah.
No, obviously, it's a big thing, and there's been a few people done it. So obviously, people before stood in the middle and got people to feed balls to try and hit it as far as they can. Well, not him. So he stood literally at the bottom of the wall, round by where they put the nets, where it's literally straight up, and he's trying to like hit balls by himself onto the roof. He's obviously knows he's going to lose the balls. He's probably lost 3 or 4 balls. I just sat there and thinking, what are you trying to do? And this is coming from a policeman who's obviously a serious cricketer. I don't know, some of the things that he did was good value, but he sometimes makes you wonder.
Indeed.
Back to 5.
Yeah.
This guy's been messaging me all day, trying to see whether he's in the team or not. He's probably a bit disappointed that he's not opening, which is Ben Sutcliffe-Dudds. If I'm honest, if I'd been picking myself in a side, would have put myself open. Obviously, I'd have probably had him in there with me. He's probably the guy that I probably scored the most runs with. Enjoyed batting with the most.
Yeah.
Probably in a socket kind of way. Probably the guy that I probably get on with most cricket wise. Probably best friend that I shared a change room with, to be honest. Probably if you look at his stats, you maybe don't think that great a player, but I think, to be fair to him, he played a lot of games where he had to do or he shouldn't have done before his time.
I'm sure most clubs would have been happy to have him. I've had him over the last several years, I'm sure.
So yeah, good guy, fielder as well. But yeah, like I say, he bats around the middle order at the moment, so I've stuck him in at 5 to do that. Next one, I've got a wicket keeper. Now, again, wicket keeper's a pretty decent one from my point of view. Danny Brown, who you probably remember.
Yeah.
Probably the best gloveman going that I've played with, and also one of the funniest guys as well. But I've taken him out, or not put him in, should I say. I've gone for Benjamin Pearson at 6. Just gone down for still a decent keeper, but I've just gone for the fact that obviously come to those last few years of certainly his involvement in the league, his batting as an opener has been off the scale and as good as anyone, to be honest.
How many years did you play with him, Simon?
Years. Watched him develop a little bit. Like to think that obviously batting with him, he owes me a couple of pints, talking him through a few innings and stuff. Obviously now owns the amateur record, runs obviously in an innings, which I think I would have been desperate to have. I think rather than maybe the runs in the season, I think the runs on a day is a big thing. So I think he got 150 odd the other year for Todd. He's obviously gone off to a different league now, so hopefully he'll come back in the league. But a good player, a good lad. He's just picked it just down to the strength of his batting, to be honest with you. So that's him at 6. 7. Yeah, we're into the all-rounders a little bit now. John Henderson, I've got Hendo. I think the moment he walked into the club, even as a non-captain, obviously coming in with books, you could just see his winning mentality. He's obviously gone from clubs that had done well with him just in general. So he's brought that winning approach, the winning mentality to the club. And just the way sort of, even though he wasn't captain, just encourage you to play your game. You know, there will be times where if you are maybe the way I was, a bit of a dasher, a bit of a hit, keep going and back yourself. So he was obviously a brilliant guy to have around, and probably the best captain I played under for buying pints when he took over. He was quite generous in the bar as well.
It does count.
It does get you in there. So he's a definite shoe-in. Obviously, a good player with bat and ball. But not so much so with the choosing to field was a cup final, but that's done. Number 8, again, all-rounder. I've gone for Savage, Andrew Sutcliffe at 8. Again, a little bit similar to Dudds, isn't it? If you look to maybe it stats on the league website, you maybe think, well, what's this guy doing? How good's he doing? But again, he's played a lot of games when he maybe wasn't ready to play. I think if you probably look at the end of his career, you'll probably see that he'll end up with the most amount of possibly catches for Todd.
And to be fair, Simon, he's played a lot of games recently as captain where he probably hasn't either batted or bowled as much as he might have done had somebody else have been captain, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've only captained for a small amount of time, but I think a lot of captains do. What I've heard, they do tend to themselves at the back of the queue a little bit rather than bringing themselves on. So I think he'll finish with good stats. But like I say, possibly a chance of getting the most appearances as captain for Todd, which is a massive thing. I think it's Harold Dawson who's done it for 200 odd games. The chance he can do that, obviously the catches as well, I think might be Harold Dawson. But so for him, I put him in at 8, but also got him in as the captain of the team, and also put him down as the best slip fielder I played with.
Yeah.
In terms of what it was, yeah, he was good with that. So I've obviously got the ball in, which you can contribute with, but the slip field I've got him in. Down to 9.
Yeah.
Again, loose term now a little bit when we talk all rounders, but I've gone for Buxy at 9, more Bucks. Again, with Hendo, obviously he had to be in. Obviously Hendo and Buxy came as a 2. Wherever Hendo went, Buxy was with him. It tended to be the way, but obviously they had a similar attitude. They're a very positive guy, good guy around the changing rooms, very good at setting the tone. I found with Buxy. I think it's very important in a game. The first sort of 10 overs that you've got, bat and ball, important. He used to set the tone in those first 10 overs and did that for many years. So he's a chewing easy for number 9. Number 10 is a guy called Matt Collins who's playing there.
I don't know a lot about him. I've only seen him play once or twice, I think.
Yeah, good player, good guy. I mean, I've not got a lot. I think the one thing with him is that I don't really have a lot of, tales, but I didn't really get a chance to socialise him a little bit for whatever reason, nights out and stuff. So I didn't quite have the bond with him maybe like I did with the other people. But good guy.
Well, Simon, you'd probably already gone home in a taxi by then, and he was still out. I would imagine. Possibly,
yeah. I do a few early ones when I can, or when I should do. But I think in terms of his cricketing ability, obviously netting for all these years, he's probably the one bowler or the bowler I have to pick, which I used to not like facing the most. Not because he was just quick, he was just the hardest to face. And obviously, I think you see his record that he's playing at the moment. I think he had a year at Lower House, but in terms of Todd, he's as good a bowler as they've had for many a time, to be honest.
Yeah.
So he's in at 10. Final one, Swifty, James Morgan. Again, for the short period that I was captain for the year and a bit, he was probably the easiest guy to captain. Just down to his accuracy, his attitude. You could set a field to him. Easy guy. I think probably looking at it and thinking about it, I probably owe him an apology for a game. I remember early in my career against Aslington, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I bowled him through 25 overs. And I know he's took 3 wickets, but he's gone for about 131. And this day now, I still got no idea why I just kept him on. I remember people like Dash who were just pinging him against the school, and I've kept him on, and I don't know why I've done so. I think I owe him an apology for that. So if he does listen to this, then sorry for that. But that's my 1 to 11. So you've got Richard Bajan.
It's absolutely laden with Bacup players, I see there, Simon.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, really. I think with the Bacup one, I've only had a couple of years. Now I'm hoping that if you maybe ask me this question in the bar in a few years, the names will change. You've obviously got some of the lads that I currently play with, Badger, Ben Lord. I think a couple of years have been impressioned on me. Could get in the list. You've got some of the younger lads, Charlie Gansler, etc. Obviously, his brother Chris. You've got a couple of young lads as well, which we may talk about in that respect as well. So, even though there's no Bacup lads in, hopefully, my opinion or my team may change in the next couple of years, possibly. But we'll see.
We'll see. Okie dokie. Well, let's move on because as there's a distinct lack of Bacup players in that 11, maybe we could ask you, Simon, if you could name your best 1 to 11 of Bacup players you played against a little earlier in your career. Yeah.
It's quite. It's probably when you read it, looking at the two sides, it's probably quite an even matchup, to be honest. I obviously played. I think, like you said, the first game was 2004, so you're talking quite a lot of players and then quite a lot of scenarios with them. It's a bit different with Bacup than Todd due to the setup. I've noticed that Bacup tend to have a team manager involved. So what I've done to start with, I've picked a team manager of this team, which we didn't really have at Todd. I've gone for yourself. Now I would have liked to have, or tried to have put you in the 11.
Simon, I've been the only team manager, so you know.
Well, there you go. So I put you in. I did actually check on the league website to see if we had actually played each other to maybe get you in as maybe the bat 11 and captain the side. But unfortunately, I think you stopped in 2003, which was
Correct.
before I played any games. So I can't get you in as a player. But obviously, the fact that what you do around the ground and you know how, and the fact you won 3 league titles on the bounce as a captain, obviously you were the perfect pick to have as a team manager. So you're in as team manager, first of all.
Move on. Yeah.
So first, opening the batting, I've gone for Tim Farragher. Tim got mentioned in my team as played with as well. The only reason I didn't put him in was maybe because what I saw in terms of, I didn't see much of him in terms of when we played together, but playing against him, class player, scored runs against us regular. Always used to complain that his averages would be as good as mine if he played half his games on tour, etc., etc. But if you look at it, obviously he's one of Bacup's highest run scorers, so he's an easy one to get in at number 1.
Good start.
2, gone for Galley. Again, the fact he plays at the moment at a club that to play for a club for, I think it's 10 years is at Edenfield now. Play at a club for 10 years is good in itself, but the fact
as a professional,
exactly. So he's pro there as well. So he's done that. Obviously, must be doing well year on year. And I think obviously if he had stayed in the league, he'd have been a 10,000 run shoe-in, to be honest.
He would. He's a really good average for Bacup. For somebody who only played a few years and most of it as a young lad, he's averaging sort of above mid-20s, I think. So it's an excellent average.
He's an easy one. I think the thing that stands out about him is that horrible white helmet he used to have. Now, hopefully he's got rid of it. But that's probably the thing that stands out as well as obviously his cricket ability. Pro-wise, again, I do like a pro to bat at 3. I had 2 pros in mind for what I played against. Chris Harris was one that I shortlisted down. But in the end, I went for Chris Cairns. I think he was probably, along with Harris at the same time, Chris Cairns was probably one of the last household names I played against in terms of the type of guy you see on the telly sort of thing. I obviously had to look at his stats a little bit, if I'm honest, for that year, but I think in the league he scored just short of 1,000 runs and 90 wickets, so he obviously had
did all right, didn't he?
Well, exactly, yeah. Yes, it was a great year for you. I think facing him, the one thing that probably sticks out more than anything, it probably was the reason why I got out. I remember facing him on Todd, obviously opening up, and he's bowling, and he's obviously sizing me up as I'm sizing him up, and I'm obviously leaving and missing him and whatever. And he gets to a point where I don't think he had anyone fielding in front of the wicket. He certainly had no mid-on and mid-off, and I've never batted with anyone doing that to me. So obviously you've got point or cover throwing in the ball back, which was weird in itself. So that threw me a little bit. So I've obviously gone down and thrown off my guard a little bit, and I've left one and I certainly got a clean ball. I don't think he even scored that day. So just to see a guy do that was that's probably the thing that stuck in the memory. And obviously how far he could hit it was a big thing. So he's definitely in at 3. Number 4, Pete Thompson. I've gone for Rooney. I had to look at obviously stats. I mean, I only played towards the back end of his career, but there was even times at the back end of his career where he did score runs against me or our team when I played. So he was still scoring runs right at the end. I've noticed he's played obviously 200 games in terms of being a captain in that period. So I've gone for him as captain as well, obviously with yourself not being available. So he's my captain. Again, he's one of them where you look at it and think, well, he only averaged early 20s or whatever it was. But I think looking and understanding types of players in them days,
and the circumstances in which he's got those runs,
but the wickets as well, you could quite easily put 3, 4, 5 on his average. And obviously 10 runs is not to be.
Bacup's top run scorer of all time, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he had to be in. I've got him in at 4 because a lot of the lads do say that he likes to bat at 4 to obviously bat behind the professional. So he likes to sneak in behind people like Roger Harper and
Particularly when Roger was there, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. No time to bat. No better time to bat than on the pros.
No.
So if you're captain, you've got that responsibility or that option, haven't you? Number 5, a lad who's not involved anymore, but decent player. I've gone for Jack McGregor at 5.
Yeah.
Again, didn't play much at Bacup, certainly. I'd only watched him bat a few times, but I just used to love the way he used to bat. Fearless, carefree. I remember a couple of occasions where we're playing against you. Kaiser Abbas's ball. Obviously, Kaiser's had years where he had 90 wickets, 100 wickets. And I remember Jack running down the wicket and just smashing him over the scorebox at Todd, smashing him onto the roof. He just played with that carefree attitude, which in that type of position I've gone for, to be honest. So he's in at 5.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've not seen what we might have done of Jack. He started with us, then to Lower House and back to us, but a relatively short Lancashire League career, unfortunately.
No, but I looked and
wicket-keeper and batter.
Yeah. Like I say, average-wise, the average is over 30 for Bacup, which is what I looked and what made me think, even though I only had him a short space of time, is the type of probably X-factor player I'd have towards the end of the order. 6, I've gone for Killers, Pete Killerley. I've got him in because I think, obviously, going off with what people say, but also what I've seen, he came across as a tough cricketer. I get the impression when the chips were down, when you were needed, when you maybe 70 for 6 chasing 110 or something, that's the time he'd really.
It was really that's when he was at his best, and of course in the field you would not find a better fielder close in or in the deep or wherever. Top fielder.
I found him weird in the field. Obviously, I've not played against him much, but we obviously played against him. Obviously, being at Rottenstall now, and I remember hitting one this season just gone. So I've hit one to mid wicket, and there's obviously no one within 30 yards of him. And for some reason, he just shouts at the top of his voice, "Killers!" It's almost like he's going up for a header. And I'm like, there's no one else around him. It's quite a weird way of, almost like it's a weird thing. I've never seen anyone do that before. And obviously he did that. And obviously there was the opening the batting that he did sticks in the memory as well, where obviously first ball is taken strike. Gone to smash a half tracker from Thatcher this year. Picked Collie out, I think mid-on. I think it did. And obviously Collie's dropped it down and you go. And all I've heard is Killers just say, you'll regret that. Obviously, next ball is shoulder downs and Thatcher's had him LBW. So obviously, little stuff like that. But he's
not his finest hour.
No, exactly. But yeah, a good moment. Again, another former player, but this one's still playing. Actually, I've gone for Joe McCluskey. Actually, I used to enjoy playing against him. At a time a few years ago where he just used to run in and ball as fast as he could, especially on Todd. He'd run in and try and obviously seeing the wickets, try and knock people's head off. So I used to enjoy facing him. Obviously, a few ding dongs, get the duties going over the years, but a great bowler. I think he probably hit the biggest amateur six I've ever seen towards the back end of his career at Bacup that I saw. So he obviously hits the long ball with the bat.
He does indeed.
Obviously, with watching these podcasts as well and listening to him a little bit more, because I've not shared a changing room with him, it's pretty good value in that. I don't know if you've listened to the Bell.
Yes, well, certainly I listened to the first one. I haven't caught up on the others yet, but a good lad, good all-round lad.
So it's pretty good value. Yeah, exactly.
Still had him at Bacup.
Yeah, exactly. So he's in for obviously the good value as well, behind the scenes as well. So he's in at 7. 8, I've got Terry Lord. Obviously, doesn't need an introduction at all, does he?
Not at all.
Looked at his stats. Obviously, over 5,000 runs, 200 wickets, which is a fantastic achievement. Obviously, the way he plays his cricket, just his general demeanour. Obviously, there's a little bit of a buddy in that we sort of have a little bit of a unwritten rule that we discuss a game. So if ever we're talking cricket and me and Terry are there, I drop in that. I remember a game that Terry played where it's a semi-final of the Cup, Todmorden Bacup. I obviously drop in that Terry bowled 10 overs. I think it might have been 7 maidens, 2 for 4 wickets for 4.
Yeah.
I obviously drop that in. Obviously, Terry on the back says, "Oh, you've got a ton that day, don't you?" And obviously, every time we speak to anyone, we talk about Terry's 2 for 7 and my 109, which is possibly one of the best innings that I've played. Basically, no one else hit it off the square that day. And obviously, I've got 100, but me and Terry have that. And bit of a weird one, bit of a weird thing to say, possibly, but I think if I could choose anyone to be my dad, I think I'd have, as I said it before, I'd have Terry as my dad, I think. Bit of a weird one, but yeah, Terry's a good guy, so he's in it. He's in at 8, yeah. 9 again, former player, but still very much around. Andrew Spencer.
Yeah.
I think probably the biggest compliment I could pay him is probably over the years, he's probably the hardest bowler or most uncomfortable bowler I faced against Bacup. Bearing in mind, Dibber played. I used to probably have more problems with Spencer than any of the other bowlers. I'm not sure why. He always says that it's up for the games. He used to like bowling on Todd.
He did, yeah, he liked bowling on Todd, yeah.
Yeah, and I always used to find him harder to face, or probably the hardest ball to face out of all of them. Obviously, the fact we used to have the indoor balls as well that we used to do, which was always good. Obviously, him, David Warren, obviously, etc., were all involved in the indoor balls we used to do.
Yeah.
Strange one though. I've never seen it. I mean, we used to do the indoor balls, and obviously you've got the big windows at Bacup. I mean, as it got dark, obviously it turns from a window into a reflection. He used to stand at the windows and psych himself up in the window before bowling at the indoor balls. But his character, as you well know,
indeed.
Yeah, good guy. So he's in at 9. 10. I've just heard today I've got Chappie at 10. He's going to be my wicket keeper as well. I could have probably put Jack McGregor as the keeper and maybe freed another spot up, but obviously Kipper had to be in for probably a lot of reasons, Bacup-wise, so he had to be in. Obviously heard about him obviously being in Vinny's hardest 11 today.
Hardest 11? Oh, I have not heard that, yeah.
But obviously tough competitor, very much old school, and I got the impression that he was almost pleased that I did well. He was very much wanted to win, but I got the impression that he never crossed the line with me. He always was very complimentary. Obviously, when he was stood right behind me, and even though he didn't look a wicketkeeper or $1 million, he used to catch everything, didn't he? To be fair, so he's quite.
He did. Well, all the professionals that came to Bacup rated him and said he could have played first class. He was that good.
Yeah, I think he's probably the one that I've looked at it and thought if I could share a changing room with anybody out of the team, he'd probably be the one I'd pick. I just think
he wouldn't, Simon. He wouldn't. You haven't smelt his socks. You would not.
Right,
you certainly wouldn't sit next to him.
Fair dues, yeah. But he's a shoo-in, like I say. He's a massive shoo-in. And the final one at 11 is Dibber, David Ormrod.
Of course.
There's not really much you can say about him, really, to be honest, in terms of what he did or what he's done. Look at his career stats. He's arguably the best seamer in Lancashire League history to look at the amount of wickets and the way he is. Probably it's a claim to fame a little bit from my point of view, in that I had a lot of occasions where I could compete with him. Certainly in the earlier parts of my career where you are carefree, but obviously he's had many a player's number over the years mentally, and obviously or amateur better players than me. So to obviously get the better of him on occasions is probably one of my claim to fame. So that's why he's in. Well, he's obviously he'd been any team that anyone picked.
Unbelievable. Well, he'd been any Lancashire League 11, wouldn't he? From that anybody picked, surely he has to be.
Definitely.
Not a bad 11, Simon.
Yeah. Done.
All good stuff.
Have you got any more things to check on me, or we?
I think we're running out of time there, Simon. I think we've probably overstepped the mark that Aaron suggested. So we'll see where we go from that. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your company. Hope you enjoyed that and managed to stay through to the end. Thanks very much, Noobs. Hopefully we'll be able to see you in action soon. We'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back next time with a golden oldie episode when we can look back a bit more in time with Bacup legends Terry Lord and John Chapman.
Yeah, they'll have win. Yeah, mine might be quite boring. Tune into them too because they'll have loads of stories. So I'll be there for that. So thanks for that, and I'll see you all.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
See you later.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.